Enmei juku kanangyo kanzeon namu butsuo butsu enyo butsu en bupo so enjo rakuga jo chonen kanzeon bonen kanzeon nanan jushinki nanan furishin kanzeon namu butsuyo butsu inyo butsu en bupo so enjo rakuga jo chonen kanzeon bonen kanzeon nanan jushinki nanan furishin kanzeon namu butsuyo butsu enyo butsu en bupo so enjo rakuga jo chonen kanzeon bonen kanzeon nanan jushinki nanan furishin absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises. Time after time, there is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises. Time after time, there is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises. Time after time, there is nothing but this. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time Sattva, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita. Please prepare for Zazen.
Sound of the clappers. First rows turn to the right, second rows turn to the left. We'll begin at a slow pace, 1/2 step for every full breath.
the Sangha covenant. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please have a seat for this evening's talk. Sit comfortably so that you and the teacher can make eye contact. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered, even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good evening, everybody. Blue Cliff Record, case 53, Wild Ducks. The main case. As the great master Baso was walking along with Hakujo, they saw wild ducks fly past. The great master said, "What is that?" Hakujo said, "Wild ducks." The great master then said, "Where have they gone?" Hakujo said, "Flown away." The great master then grabbed Hakujo's nose and twisted it. Hakujo cried out in pain. The great master then said, "When was this flown away?" verse. Wild ducks, who knows how many? Seeing the approach, Baso had a conversation. Tell all the clouds about it on the mountains and the moon over the sea, still not understanding, flying off instead. As he tried to fly away, in the end he was held still. Speak, speak. So this is a really wonderful case, and it's interesting. There was a post recently on a martial arts forum that I'm loosely follow, and someone has been reading a little bit of koans, and so they put together a little koan, they thought. And they had all these mystical sounding phrases in the beginning, and then they had a little snippet of a moment with their martial art teacher, and some more mysterious sounding phrases at the end. And foolishly, I said, lovely phrases, but that's not a koan. And of course, he responded with more mystical phrases, and I just said, I've already said too much. But there are certain things that actually are koan, and there are things that actually aren't. They just aren't. Some strange sounding thing isn't necessarily a koan. A koan is not a puzzle or a riddle. A koan is a public case. It's the law. It applies to everyone. And there are certain qualities that make a koan a koan. And this is just so center of the target, see. So what is this about, this koan as it is? Well, the great Master Baso was walking along with Hakujo. So Hakujo is serious also. I mean, he ends up being featured in many, many other cases in the curriculum, that we study. But here he is walking with the great Master Baso. And they're out for a walk together. And then, as the koan says, some wild geese fly by. Now, kind of like, so what? Right? I mean, that's nice. Everybody knows what geese are when they see them, I would expect. I'm sure these two did. Nonetheless, the great master says, what is that? And I can imagine him, what is it? What is it? Kind of thing. Or it could be, what is that? And they're very different, the way the language shifts the meaning or the perception a little bit. But I take this very much to be a prodding from the master to the disciple. Unanticipated, unexpected, informal, there they are hanging out together. What is it? And Hakujo says, they're wild ducks. Is it ducks or geese? Apparently it's ducks, yes. They're ducks. They're wild ducks. Now at that, it doesn't seem like old Baso is satisfied because he pushes on. You can imagine they fly by. What is that? They're ducks. Then they're gone. And now looking at a blue and empty sky, let us say, he says, where have they gone? Again, the master is beginning to do an intervention, I would say, on this disciple. Where are they? Where did they go? And he simply says, well, they flew away. Oh. And at that, the old master's patience is worn thin. The intervention becomes a little sharper. And he grabs the disciple's nose and gives it a twist. Now, in today's age, fear not, I will not grab your nose and give a twist. I've never had my nose grabbed and twisted. But I understand the impulse. Quite well. And I guess I can't say never, right? Never say never. So keep the mystery there. But still, why this? See, and now let's just give the benefit of the doubt that we're talking about an actual Zen master, because we are, and a disciple who's really worthy of such kindness. He then grabbed Hakujo's nose and twisted it. Hakujo cried out in pain. Is this just abuse? Should we call services? Should we do an intervention? Do we need an ethics consideration on this? No, not really. I mean, maybe if this exact thing happened, I don't know, but please look deeper than this. Certain people of very shallow understanding hear encounters like this and think, enlightenment must mean you can just be crazy and do whatever you want, and it's okay because you're enlightened. And that's not true. That's clearly not the case. There is a very meaningful and specific Dharma teaching that's happening here. He's creating a place of deep encounter with true reality for this student, who desperately needs it, by the way. So Hakujo then cried out in pain. Finally, a true word. And at this, the great master said, "When was this flown away?" Again, and again. You know, often we consider ourselves to be separate bags of skin. This is the inside, and y'all are on the outside there. And we're kind of like bumping around against with other skin bags and places. And we're trying to find our space and get our stuff and have our day and get a decent enough lunch. But this is not the entire truth. There's an ancient teaching, thousands of years old, called Indra's net. And in Indra's net, we see a very different expression. In Indra's net, it's like a fishing net, but every point where they cross, there's a diamond. And that diamond reflects all the other diamonds in the net. So each diamond is exactly in its own place, and each diamond is intimately connected with all the other diamonds, and each diamond is all the other diamonds, all at once. So this is not an incidental image. This is much closer. Perhaps we consider that we are simply a one Homo sapien in the midst of however many billion we are, and however many billions there have been, who knows. And therefore, I am very small, and I have very little influence. But I think this is not accurate. We've seen one great teaching from our current teacher, the coronavirus. We can see how deeply interconnected we all are. Can anyone really feel that they are an island unrelated to anyone else anymore? Probably, but I wish they wouldn't. Clearly, what happens in China happens in Toledo, and vice versa, and everywhere else. Consider how many beings you have influenced and connected with in your life, and how many beings they will connect with and influence in their life. And a simple calculation or two, and suddenly you find millions of beings being influenced. So our stupidity matters a lot. So does our compassion and our wisdom. It's not just about me or you having a bit of a better day. I mean, that's nice. Beats a worse day, I suppose, but that's not what the main case is. What is this main case? You know, if you consider when we were infants, let us say, no sense of separation from mom at all, right? And yet we are immersed in phonemes and language relentlessly. We are exposed constantly by mom and dad talking and language, and we start to differentiate a little bit, and we start to language things. We learn ma, and suddenly there's an I and a thou, and da and more, and we start to crystallize things. And this, I'm not saying that this is evil or bad, but it's just the process we've all gone through. And it's as though some process has begun that kind of runs away with itself, honestly. Suddenly we begin talking even when there's no one else there. It's like the I is talking to the me. I would like a drink of water, but it's too weird with this mask, so I guess I'll just skip it. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Who the hell am I talking to? Right? I mean, if you could take your mental dialogue and put it through these speakers, you'd have no friends anymore. I mean, we'd all sound quite insane. Who's this conversation with? Maybe is an earlier part of the brain being corrected by a more mature part of the brain? I don't know. But what I do know is this language never ceases. From that beginningless to us time, we have constantly been swimming in language and words that are all built on me and you and black and gray and tan and whatever that color is. And do you understand? And this actually is really beautiful. I mean, it gives us the ability to communicate in a way that, as far as we know, other species can't do. Sounds can communicate pleasure and pain, but language can give poetry. This is beautiful, but there's a cost, a deep cost. Because you see, the skewer that runs through all of our suffering somehow is wound around these words, this language, this operating system of the mind, how we experience ourselves. Now, the point is not to return to some infantile ooze and just hang out there. That's not sufficient. That would not work. That would not be helpful. What we want to do is to realize something deeper than what language can give without jettisoning language. Language is great. Here we are listening and talking. How do we become free? How do we not be trapped? Well, you know, when you sit, if you try to shut your brain off, this is A, not going to happen, and B, very frustrating. If you think that's your job, you're climbing up the wrong ladder. It's over here we need to go. What we need to do is to become aware, to see clearly what's happening. Because most of the time, the dialogue we identify with so thoroughly that we don't even realize it's happening. In fact, strangely, we become more identified with the language in our heads than with our own body. Like, you know, that foot down there is some appendage. Like, I'm way up here in the executive tower with windows. You know, that's down in the basement, you know, unless something's wrong. Oh my God, what's wrong with the boiler? Quick, emergency, you know. But words, oh no, those are money. Those are currency. Those are who I am. And that's what you are. And that's what that is. Those are wild ducks. Not now, they're not. And they fly away. Where did they go? Well, they just flew away. Do you see it? He sticks to that like Velcro. I'll age myself. I think it was the David Letterman show. He had the Velcro suit. Does anyone besides me remember this? The wall had Velcro. He had a suit. He would run at the wall and stick. And this was so long ago that was amusing to us all. Nothing wrong with words unless you're stuck. Then how do I get free? Now, when the teacher reaches out and grabs the disciple's nose, it's really not out of anger. It's not like getting smacked on the hands with the ruler because you played the wrong note. It's not that. It really isn't. He could have done many, many other actions that would produce exactly the same or a similar experience. He just happened to grab him. And then what happened? He cried out in pain. Now, this is not saying, therefore the point is to inflict pain on yourself. Everyone line up and hold your hand over the candle flame on the altar. No, that's not the point. Not at all. But what we can say, if we think about it a little bit, is in that moment, the disciple went from his language algorithms to intimate experience. Just like that. Suddenly, boom, right there. But that's not enough. You see, you could say, that's the point, just to stay in this non-judgmental awareness of present moment experience. And no, that is not sufficient. Because where did they go? Answer. You have to say something. You see? It's not really acceptable to just peel out over here. It's tricky. I feel very strongly that the truth of the Dharma is just accessible to everyone. As I often say, it's like gravity. Anyone who thinks to notice it will encounter it. But at the same time, we really stand on the shoulders of giants. And we benefit deeply from thousands of years of human experience that we are the humble inheritors of. We are not in this project alone. We have many, many guides along the way. And this is very consoling. Because everybody has moments like that where the nose gets tweaked. You stub your toe. Why are we not all enlightened then? Because it's not about that. Wild ducks. Who knows how many? Count all the wild ducks. What? Count all the wild ducks? Yeah. Count all the wild. It's not possible. You're not wrong, but you're not right. Count all the wild ducks. Who knows how many? Seeing the approach, Baso had a conversation. That's seeing the ducks. He's like, all right, I got something I can work with here. This will be good. Telling all about the clouds on the mountain and the moon over the sea. The clouds on the mountain? The moon over the sea? Is this near? Is this far? Is this intimate? Is this distant? Still not understanding, flying off instead. There we go again. Like really, just in the last, 20 minutes, whatever that was, we sat together. How many times did your mind just like, off it goes? And we're in this seemingly very important dialogue with ourselves or with someone, right? What we're going to do or what we did or what they did or what they didn't do or whatever. What's happening or what's not happening. And it has a charge to it, right? And they seem to kind of come at us from like behind somewhere. It's like we're blindsided by this. Before you realize it, this story scenario is your experience. And as your practice deepens, we begin to be able to see and to recognize that, or sooner and sooner, and to play with it less and less, and to learn how to simply keep our awareness in the breath, if that's what your practice is. I would much rather have you just keep your mind in your breath than me have to go around and tweak everybody's nose. I would need a serious raise for that. Nose tweaking. You don't need that. But you do need to tweak your own nose. You do. That's what really needs to happen. Take responsibility. Take it really seriously too. Something can happen where when you've been practicing for a while, you look good. You look like you've got it going on, and you figure out how to be still enough, and you kind of can get into this almost gear and cruise. And it's very important that you don't accept that from yourself. It's very important. You have to hold yourself in higher regard than that, and really keep yourself seriously awake. Don't let yourself just fog out. Don't let yourself just get flown off. Stay awake. Watch. Pay attention. Really pay attention. That's all you need to do, really. But you do need to do that. He tried to fly away, but in the end he was held still. Now your mind's going nowhere. But this very curious at the end. Speak. Speak. Say something. It's not acceptable to just go off into the ooze. It's not acceptable to just be carried away by the algorithm of language. How do you be free in this languaged mind? You can. It's interesting. We've been in this space now, it seems like lifetimes. We used to do, for years, we did one service a week, Wednesday nights. This was what we did for years. And then we doubled it. Oh my God. We added a Sunday. This was radical. This was such a lift. This is, oh my God, we're twice as much, right? And it was cool. It's still cool. It's really great. Now 8. And it's amazing how many people are coming in and practicing. It's really astonishing. And we're still in this pandemic thing. What do you think about that story I just told? That little trail of thoughts. How wonderful, how wonderful. Not your style? Okay. Oh, isn't it awful? Isn't it terrible that we all have to sit on this floor? How ridiculous, how demeaning. Or can you look at all these empty zafus? This is terrible. What? No one's here. Where are they? We've gone to all this effort and there's no friends here. What's going on? I thought there'd be at least a double this. Is that your style? Maybe you do a mixtape, you go back and forth. But that's what I'm talking about. Do you see how quickly the mind gets pulled into the story and follows the story? It's not at all unlike when we're dreaming and you just accept uncritically whatever the hell is going on, that you're defying physics at every turn doesn't even occur to you, nor anything of your past life. 20 minutes before you were whoever you are, and then you lay down and now you're whatever that is. Do you know what I'm saying? Lucid dreaming is very different. You know you're dreaming. That's a thing. Waking up is very much something like this. Recognizing what's going on. But still, it's dreaming. The great master Baso was walking along with his disciple Hakujo, and they saw wild ducks fly past. The great master said, "What is that?" Hakujo said, "Well, wild ducks." The great master then said, "Where have they gone? Where did they go?" "Well, they've flown away," said Hakujo. The great master suddenly then grabbed Hakujo's nose and twisted it, and Hakujo cried out in pain, "Ah!" The great master then said, "When was this flown away?" Wild ducks, who knows how many. Seeing the approach, Baso had a conversation, telling all about the clouds on the mountain and the moon over the sea, still not understanding, flying off instead. As he tried to fly away, in the end he was held still, however. "Speak, speak. What will you say?"
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out tonight. Are there any announcements? I thought, yeah, oh, she's got the proper.
Hi, my name is Gokyo. I just want to remind everyone that the February session has shifted. It will now be a half-day Zazen Kai on Saturday, the 17th, 19th, that Saturday of that week. But it will be a half-day Zazen Kai. No registration is required. It's open to all fully vaccinated, including booster members. No registration, you can just drop in. Again, it's from 9 until noon. There'll be Zazen and Kinhin from 9 to 11, and then I believe a talk starting at 11 to 12 and closing ceremony. So please join us.
Okay, Derek, look into that.
My understanding is that will be a mondo, which is a question and answer period with the teachers, which is a valuable way of expressing and encountering the Dharma. And I think we're going to try and have the Zoom thing going, are we not, for that, Hoshi? So that we could, I'd like to have people here as much as possible, but then from some of our folks who, for whatever reason, that's not a good choice, they can participate in the mondo. And this time I'll be here rather than on the screen, and we'll see how that works. So if you're not able to be here physically, try to tune in virtually and help the grand experiment.
Any other announcements? Please restore the Zendo.
It's just like I truly have no idea. I've done it. It's a shed. Once on a Wednesday and then after a month. I think that's why I like my muscle memory for saying turn to the correct.
We had our first meeting.
I used to make a loop.
Right.
That's how I remember. Remember the loop.
That was